one in River State is the Indorama petrochemical, formerly Eleme petrochemical. But the amount of gas we flare is enough to sustain 170 of such factories in this state alone. I'm trying to bring to the fore the enormous resources that we sit upon. It's not a cliche when it's described as the treasure base of the nation. We've got to make this treasure work for all of us. And that is a challenge of this summit. Lately, we've been having a flurry of policies, mainly from central bank monetary policies and all that. These policies, to my mind, are driven by the urge to curb inflation and maintain an exchange rate that is what we call suitable to us. Now, I think we're going in the wrong direction nationally in that regard. I think emphasis actually should be on growth. So when we put interest rates so high, today, if you go to the bank to borrow, you're not going to get money less than 35%. That is a disincentive to growth. I understand the challenges of inflation, but we've got to ask ourselves, which is more important, inflation or growth? I believe growth over a period will absorb inflation. Besides, there are so many other instruments to curb excess money in the system. With T-bills at over 22%, treasury bills at over 22%, I'm concerned because if a foreigner or foreign investor should bring about $100 million to invest in Nigeria's T-bills, at the end of the year, he or she would be going back with $122 million. Do we have the resources? What are we doing to sustain that high level of interest? So, if we keep on focusing on inflation, I think we may miss the ball. I think the focus should be more on growth, but trying to manage inflation at the same time. Let me share some stats also with us here so that we can bring to the fore the challenges we have in Nigeria. In 1980, our population was about 72 million. The 4 years between 79 and 83, when President Shagari was in charge, the budget averaged about $25 billion per year. 44 years after, our population is approximately 230 million. Our budget, national budget that is 19 billion. We have shrunk economically, but in terms of human resource, we have grown astronomically. Then you begin to understand the various challenges that we have, whether it is banditry, kidnap, all the ills of society can be seen by this figure. That if 44 years ago, the federal government had in her budget $25 billion to spend on a population of 72 million people, and today, less than that amount, 19 billion, then we have a big, big challenge on our hands. And therefore, we need to focus very, very firmly on growth. My experience in Cross River is quite an interesting one. We realized that we were the poor cousins in this Niger Delta business. I think it's Edo and Cross River that are the poor cousins. In between, we had the wealthier cousins, the Akwa Ibom, Rivers, Delta, and Bayelsa. So our strategy was simple. We don't have oil, we don't have the resources that we have, but if we create an environment where they will come and spend their money in Cross River State, I think we could also, part of the oil will rub on us. So that was the context of the tourism policy we pursued, to ensure that our neighbors, the Niger Delta, will spend those vast sums of money that they will be making in Cross River State. Did it succeed? Largely. The beauty of it is that in tourism, the money goes directly to the people, and you are therefore able to have taxable entities, people who have earned an income. And I'd like to share a story, a brief one, of a family. This was 2008. I was seeing off a friend at the airport. And a lady walks up to me, an elderly lady, and says that she would like to thank me. And I'm like, thank you, but what are you thanking me for? She said, she beckoned on her husband to come along and said, they have a story to tell. Basically, it was this. He was a retired permanent secretary. He thought it was quite infantile for us to be talking about tourism in Nigeria. He was owing a lot of money because he had bought the house he had lived in. 3 of his sons were abroad. One had gotten married to a girl from the Czech Republic. And they had furnished the house to receive their new in-law from the Czech Republic. Then lastly, some flight arrangements, everything had to be cancelled. You know, civil servants don't like owing money. So he was in debt. And of course, blamed his wife for all this. You're the one that made me spend. You know how we do. When we have to blame it on someone. They blame his wife for everything. She absorbed that, then said one evening she was watching television and she saw an advert on television advertising that if you had spare rooms in your home over the holiday period in Calabar, the Tourism Bureau would like to take it over and put in guests. Of course, they'll come and inspect and they'll guarantee the quality of the guests that come in. It's what they call it, ABNB or something like that now. We didn't have a name for it, but we didn't have enough hotel rooms to accommodate all these people who are finding their way to Calabar. Believe me, one of our biggest catch markets was Port Harcourt, because all the oil service people at Christmas, they had nowhere to go. So she waited for her husband to be out of the house. He was an avid golfer. When he went off to the golf course, and you know golf is quite addictive. When they go in the morning, they don't come back till evening. Then she smuggled the people in the bureau to come in and inspect the house. Now, don't forget the house had been prepared for international, in quote, visitors. So everything was spick and span. The generator was working, there was electricity, the water system was good. And they got 3 executives from oil service companies in Port Harcourt. Each one was going to pay 50,000, if I recall, 40 or 50,000 per room. There were 3 rooms available in the house. And the master bedroom that was meant to host a couple was going to pay 60. So all told, they were going to make about 120, 130 million, 1,000 naira a day. Now, the man was owing about 1.2 million naira, but this is 2006 or 2007, and 1.2 million naira was scary for him. When she told her husband what she had done, he blew up. He was upset. Oh, you now want to advertise my poverty. Tell the whole world that we don't have money. You and this infantile governor, you want to bring absolute strangers into our home. He didn't speak to her for a day. But later on he called her and said, hey, by the way, how much are they willing to pay? When the figures were shared, he kept quiet. He said, hey, if you want to embarrass me, go ahead and embarrass me. Whatever you want to do, go and do. And the shame is ours. Later on, these guys came. They spent 21 days. And they were decent because we checked them out. But in conclusion, this man made almost 2 million naira from this, or 2-point-something million, after we took our tax, because they paid to the bureau, and the bureau pays the family. After we took our tax from them, he made a profit. So he quickly calls his sons in Europe and says, Christmas is no longer available for you people to come visit. You can come in Easter or any time of the year, but Christmas is a no deal. The point here is that we are so blessed as a people. Maybe I should put it another way. We are so indulged by nature as a people. The environment, climate, resource we sit under, or we sit above, we really don't even know how much we have. Then you can understand why there was a scramble for Africa in 1884. This is a very wealthy continent. And this state is her treasure base. So this conference is so apt at a time where the nation is seemingly losing her economic grip. If you get it right, Your Excellency, you'll be encouraging others to do the same. Too often, we fantasize and speak about the numbers of people that we have. Oh, we are the largest state in terms of population. We never talk about the quality of people. How well trained are they? Are they productive people or just numbers? The world has gone beyond the stage where you celebrate numbers. You celebrate quality. So the nations that we talk about are not the largest nations in terms of population. That was in the 60s and the 50s, is what they bring to the table. And I believe that this summit, after all this is done, we will sit back, we would craft policies for each and every sector of endeavor in this state, so that we would have truly not just a treasure base, but a front runner. You have all that it takes. You have the capital, you have the resources, human that is, and you have something that is very unique. You're calm. I thank you.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to give his goodwill message, may I respectfully invite the Speaker, River State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Victor Okojumbo.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of River State, Ama Opus Senebo, Sir Siminian Lai Fubara, Grand Service Star of River State. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of River State, Professor Mrs. Ngozi Mma Odu, Distinguished Service Star of River State. His Lordship, Honorable Justice Simeon C. Amadi, Distinguished Service Star of River State. His Excellency, the former Governor of River State, the former Governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke. Honorable members of the National Assemblies here present, my very distinguished colleagues of the River State House of Assembly, very revered traditional rulers and royal fathers here present, honorable commissioners of various ministries here present, distinguished invited guests and participants at this summit, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Let me, on behalf of my colleagues of the 10th River State House of Assembly, and in conjunction with the Executive Governor of River State, His Excellency Siminala Fubara, GSSROS, welcome you to this very auspicious summit, River State Economic and Investment Summit 2024, which indeed is the first of its kind in the span of this administration in our dear state. The theme for this summit explicitly defines and amplifies the very essence of today's event, which is aimed at advancing pathways to economic growth and sustainability in our dear state. Economic growth and sustainability are two key indices of any developing society, and this administration, ably led by His Excellency, the Governor of River State, has shown tremendous sagacity, determination, and intensity towards ensuring that critical pathways are in place for accelerated advancement in economic growth and sustainability for our dear state. And this is not just rhetorics, for the years of rhetorics are gone. In achieving this vision of advancing our economic growth and sustainability, it is very imperative to note that the legislative arm of government, which I represent in Rivers State, has a pivotal role to play in creating an enabling environment by way of positive and people-oriented legislation, essential for advancing pathways to economic growth and sustainability of our dear Rivers State. Our legislative policy making and oversight functions are central to fostering a climate conducive to economic development and sustainability in Rivers State, in synergy with the executive as well as the judiciary. And so, it is a banquet of responsibilities in good governance for the people of Rivers State, legislative framework and policy formulation. The legislature's primary responsibility is to develop a robust legislative framework that stimulates economic activities by enacting laws and promoting investment, supporting small and medium enterprises, and foster industrialization. The legislature creates a business-friendly environment. Legislation and provides tax incentives can both attract both local and international investors, thereby boosting economic growth. Budgetary oversight and allocation. The Rivers State Legislature's role in budgetary oversight and allocation is critical to economic development. By meticulously scrutinizing and approving the state budget, the legislature ensures that public funds are allocated to vital sectors with strategic investments and infrastructure drives that will not only stimulate the advancement of economic growth, but enhance the connectivity and productivity, but also ensure its sustainability. Sustainability initiatives. Sustainability initiatives is an integral aspect of economic growth, and the Rivers State Legislature will be very instrumental in this area by enacting environmental protection laws and promoting green initiatives. The legislature helps balance economic growth with environmental stewardship. Legislation that addresses pollution control, waste management, and renewable energy adoption is essential for sustainable development. Additionally, supporting sustainable agriculture and fisheries through eco-friendly practices ensures the long-term viability of these crucial sectors. Promoting good governance. The legislature's oversight functions ensure good governance by holding the executives accountable on behalf of the good people of Rivers State. This accountability is crucial in preventing corruption, misappropriations of funds, and ensuring the effective implementation of economic policies. Transparent governance practices enhance investors' confidence and ensures equitable distribution in economic benefits, contributing to the overall advancement of economic growth in our dear state. Public participation and inclusive growth. An enabling environment for economic growth is also fostered through effective public participation. The legislature's engagement with constituents and incorporation of their feedbacks into policy making ensures that economic policies reflect the needs and aspirations of the broader population. This inclusivity addresses inequalities and promotes a more equitable distribution of economic gains, leading to inclusive growth. Conclusively, let me conclude by stating that this summit could not have come at a better time than this, as our very dynamic and pragmatic state governor is just completing his 1 year in office, which has been used to lay the foundation and strategic pillars upon which a more prosperous River State of our dreams will be built. Today, we are setting the pathway for critical concomitants for the advancement of critical elements and structures to accelerate the economic growth and pathways for the economic and sustainability of our dear River State. Obviously, given the importance of the state's legislature and its instrumentality in making this vision a reality through positive legislation, it is our avowed commitment as lawmakers to give the necessary support and enablement towards this very auspicious cause to build River State of our dream and setting a sustainable, robust foundation for the future generation. Long live the good people of River State. Long live River State government. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, witnessing the conscious efforts of this administration to harness the immense potentials for profitable investment opportunities and across various industries. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to further drive this home, may I, with all sense of humility, invite to give his summit opening address a man of great panache, one who yearns for an upsurge in the economy of River State, the people's governor, the governor of River State, His Excellency, Sir Siminalayi Fubara, Grand Service Star of River State.
Your Excellency, Donald Duke, former governor of Cross River State. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of River State, the Speaker, River State House of Assembly. Your Excellency, the Governor of Bayelsa State, ably represented by the Secretary to the State Government, His Lordship, Honorable Justice Simeon Amadi, Chief Judge of River State, and your brother judges that are here, members of the State Executive Council, leaders of our state that are here, Senator John Mbata, Senator A.M. Pepple, Dr. Sam Jaja, and a good number of you, our highly revered traditional rulers that are also here, the Christian Association, ably represented by the Dean of the Anglican Union, Captain of Industries, resource persons, presenters, panelists, and other participants here with us. Gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to say that this event, we tagged Rivers Emerge, is not a mistake. It's because we believe that it is important to think about the state first. The development of the state is the most important thing. It's not the political rivalry. After politics, we must have a base, and that base is our state. And that base is when there is development in the state, that is a major interest for political struggle. If a state is not viable, I don't think there will be any need for struggle. So I want to say thank you to the organizers who took all the pains, convinced me that at this point in the life of our dear state, there is need to assure investors that Rivers State is safe and prepared to welcome investors in our dear state. On behalf of the government and people of Rivers State, let me warmly welcome all to the first Rivers State Investment Summit under our government, which is barely a year old. We use the word a year old because true governance in this state started in the month of February 2024. I wish to especially welcome the chairman of today's event, my dear elder brother and friend, His Excellency Donald Duke, the former governor of Cross River State, and all other brother governors that are here. At least Bayelsa is here, represented properly. Let me thank you for finding time out of your busy schedule to be with us today in this event. I assure you that we will do all it takes to reciprocate this kind gesture. And we're not going to take your presence here for granted. Let me also welcome the special guest speaker for today, Professor Marcus Bako and Kingsley Mogulu, as well as His Highness Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, OAN, the 14th Emma of Kano, who will be with us to headline tomorrow's section summit as the keynote speaker. We deeply appreciate your presence and anticipate contributions to the development of our state through this summit. Today's event is aimed to advance the investment opportunities in Rivers State. It provides an opportunity for us to hear from experts, exchange ideas, raise questions, and receive answers to the economic and investment challenges we face as a state. Historically, Rivers State, especially Port Harcourt, was an established commercial center in Nigeria. The Trans-Amadi industrial layout hosted several thriving commercial and industrial concerns that created income, jobs, and prosperity for our state and our people. Sadly, all these are now history, as most of these industrial ventures in that estate has either closed shop or become horrible. The industrial estate is now characterized by abandoned factory buildings and warehouses. We have since lost our rating as one of the industrialized states competitive as a preferred destination for domestic and foreign direct investment, resulting in the continual posting and low development. For decades, the Rivers State government had continued to depend more on allocation from the federation account to fund its expenditures. because tax revenue had remained low due to low investment and economic growth. For us, building a resilient, robust, and diversified economy hold the key to sustainable peace, security, and progress of our state, and the spiritual, social, and physical well-being of our people. We therefore commit to the reindustrialization of Rivers State in partnership with the formal and organized private sector through necessary policies, legal, and other support measures and system. This is why we approved the Rivers State Economic and Investment Summit 2024 as the first of several measures to unveil the economic potentials of the state to both local and foreign investors and markets. Against this background, I feel very optimistic that Rivers State will emerge from this summit and position itself as a premier investment destination, offering boundless economic opportunities for domestic and global investors. The reasons for this optimism are clear and realistic. The chairman of this occasion did mention the potential in gas untapped. You can imagine what will happen if it's properly deployed. As a state, the state is blessed with numerous human and natural resources, including oil and gas, fertile soil, solid mineral, and extensive coastal line with great water bodies. The state is the center point of the oil and gas industry in West Africa. We account for over 40% of crude oil production onshore in the country and 100% of liquefied gas that the country exports. The state is also the second largest economy in Nigeria, and with a nominal GDP of over $28.4 billion. You know what it means? We have the heart, the economic heart of the country. The state economy ranks in the top 25 economies in Africa, comparable to the countries like Botswana, Rwanda, and Gabon. The state has relatively robust infrastructure, including good roads, 2 seaports, 1 international airport, and a free trade zone, with a population of over 7 million indigenous, diverse, educated, highly hospitable people, and a business-friendly environment. The state stands at the center of diverse economic opportunity. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, Rivers State provides several investment opportunities across diverse sectors of our economy, including oil and gas, agriculture, agro-processing, manufacturing, hospitality, and tourism, education, ICT, healthcare, infrastructural development, glass products, and garment production, and power generation, transmission, just to mention the few. With over 40% of fertile, cultivatable landmass, Rivers State has the potential to make a significant contribution to the national food security, with commercial investment in mechanized agriculture and agro-processing industrial value chain. Several state-owned but moribund companies, farmlands, business infrastructures, including oil palms, estates, rubber plantation, poultry, and fish farms are available for interested private investors to take over and revitalize. Additionally, Rivers State presents a lucrative opportunity for commercial production of high-value cash crop for export markets. Given this advantage and many other attractive opportunities, the economy of Rivers State has great potential for serious-minded investors to tap into, exploit, and be rewarded with a huge profit and lucrative return on investment. Since assuming office, we have prioritized peace and security and focused on growing our economy through partnership and collaboration in line with our belief that it is in private sector, not the state government, that growth can be achieved, job can be created, guarantee wealth and prosperity of our people will be assured. Our commitment is to make Rivers State the best place in this country to invest and do business by creating a vibrant, investor-friendly business environment and improving the ease of doing business to boost investors' interest and confidence in our dear states. We have already implemented certain policy, initiative, and reform, including prompt allocation and issuance of land titles and certificate of occupancy to prospective investors, and a memorandum to state tax. Okay, let me take that again, sorry. And a monoratum on the state tax and levy on new businesses. We're also working on the harmonization of the state and local government tax to eliminate double taxation and the imposition of multiple levy on investors. 2 weeks ago, we launched the first 4 billion Naira matching fund loan with the Bank of Industry for small, micro, and medium-scale businesses to drive financial inclusion and enhance the growth and development of support and to support those businesses to grow our economy, create jobs and wealth for our people. Furthermore, we have also approved the establishment of the Rivers State Investment Promotion Agency to provide a one-stop shop investment services and facilitate the investors who are interested to come into our state to do business with ease. In the first year of our administration, we received appreciable number of expression of interest from local and foreign investors to invest in diverse sectors of our economy, including agriculture, real estate, power generation, and manufacturing. We have signed a development agreement with TAF Nigeria Limited for the construction of 20 mixed housing in the Greater Port Harcourt City. We signed another development with Gosh Nigerian Limited for the construction of an international spare parts market. The state government provided hundreds of land as its equity, and work has started in those sites. Apache Aluminium LLC of America has started the acquisition of land to establish a multi-billion naira aluminium rolling mill in the Ogoni axis of Rivers State. We have opened discussion with an Israeli company in developing our huge agricultural potential, including reviving abandoned agricultural projects and infrastructure, such as the Rivers State Songhai, the school-to-land farm, the fish farm, the feed mills, oil palm estates, and poultry farm across states. We have earmarked about $10 million for this project for this fiscal year. Last week, the State Executive Council approved a proposal by Rainbow Heritage Group to build a new port city in the state on about 1,000 hectares of land in collaboration with the Greater Port Harcourt City Authority. We have also concluded arrangements for the signing of a memorandum of understanding with Planet One Holding Limited of Dubai for a $10 million mangrove forest conservation and carbon capture project under private-public partnership arrangements. By and large, we are the economic heartbeat of the Niger Delta region, and the Southeast are focused at this time to grow our economy to greater heights so that we can drive more tax revenue to deliver quality social services to our people. Our mantra is Rivers First. Our covenants and commitments are to serve our people to the best of our ability, with compassion, honesty, and responsibility. I assure you all that our intentions are right, our commitments are unwavering. With the collaboration and support of all, we will collectively harness the economic potential of Rivers State to achieve considerably high and sustainable economic growth and prosperity in the coming decades, and build a brighter future for our children and grandchildren. As the saying goes, and I quote, "When there is light, there is hope. When there is light, there is strength." When you can see into the future, you can muster up enough strength to hold on a day. Therefore, as we embark on this collective journey to economic prosperity, I call on all to join us to invest in the social and economic greatness of our state and secure the future for us and the next generation. We are happy with the quality of our attendance at this summit and confident that in the end, it will galvanize more investment deals in the state. Finally, I express my warm wishes On behalf of the government and people of the state, with the consultants, with the speakers, analysts, and all participants, and organizers for a fruitful and productive summit. While wishing you a pleasant stay in Rivers State, I wish to assure you that we will reach out to all stakeholders to materialize the outcome and recommendation of this summit. On this note, I am pleased to declare the Rivers State Economic and Investment Summit 2024 open. And please take note that Rivers State is open to business. And not just one business, a lot of businesses. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
Rivers State means business, and the economic and investment summit is declared open by the executive governor of Rivers State, Sir Similai Fubara GSSRS, who is seated here now after giving us that address that looked into various areas of the economy of Rivers State, which of course will also be affected by other possibilities, which also will tie with the federal government's policies, which means that the state in itself has finally keyed into what is going on as we speak in this country.
Let me also say this, that after our keynote speech, the cultural troop, we cool down. And the reason being that Rivers State is also very strong in entertainment. So you have opportunity for investment in entertainment. You have a state that has the likes of Hilda Dokubo, Basoch Tare Jr., Sabinus, Yibo Koko, Tonto Dike, and Sandede is also strong in entertainment. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to deliver the keynote address is a man that one person once said that if you have him in your team is made. He's a political science economist. He's once served as Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, a consummate professional, hardworking, productive, and a great team player. He has vast knowledge. Even in his days in the United Nations, he traversed 5 continents, which makes him a true internationalist. Please join me as I welcome here Professor Kingsley Moghalu, our keynote speaker.
Governor of Rivers State, Sir Sim Fubara, the chairman of the occasion, His Excellency, former Governor Donald Duke, my dear friend and brother, the Deputy Governor, former governors, the Speaker, the Chief Justice, traditional rulers, former senators, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all other protocols observed. It's a great honor for me to have been invited by the governor to deliver the keynote remarks this afternoon at the first Rivers State Economic and Investment Summit. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for convening this very important event to mark your 1 year in office. Summits like this and the conversations and the discussions that we are having already, just listening to the governor's address, have brought some changes to my own address, because I can see clearly that he is ahead of the curve. Some of the respectful, well-intentioned advice and the occasional critique have become unnecessary from listening to some of the things he said. But I want to speak this afternoon on the subject, can Rivers State emerge? Governance, investment, and economic strategy. I came into the country this morning from Washington, D.C., where my global strategy consultant is based. I left Washington, D.C. 2 nights ago, came into London yesterday. I arrived this morning in Abuja and caught the first flight to Port Harcourt, because this is truly an event after my heart. And as a Nigerian patriot, it is always an honor and privilege for me to support leaders who demonstrate seriousness, who demonstrate purpose, who demonstrate a vision, and who demonstrate commitment to the reason they have been called to serve, and which is to improve the standard of living of the citizens of our great country. So the first question I want to ask is this: when we say rivers emerge, we have to ask and answer the question, emerge from what and where and to what? What is the vision for Rivers State? This is the necessary foundation for any real emergence. There must be a clear answer to this question, because it is what will shape the journey ahead for this great state. So the intention is there, the commitment is there, I think we can see it. But as a strategy consultant, I have to say that the vision, the Bible said, I think it was to Habakkuk, write down the vision, write it on stone. So the vision has to be clearly articulated, and then there has to be a strategy execution map to back up that vision over a clear number of years, with steps that will be measured in terms of performance. That is my first recommendation, even before I begin my remarks. Now, Rivers State, as the governor said, has the second largest economy in Nigeria after Lagos. He reminded us that Rivers State has over 40% of Nigeria's oil production, 100% of its natural gas exports. The GDP is $28 billion. The state has 7.5 million people. I want to situate Rivers State in the world, because the bigger our vision, the greater our chance of success. If we do not make it to the sky, we will at least land on the roof. So, let me situate Rivers in a global context. Once upon a present time, there is a country named Norway. Norway is a Scandinavian country that has 5.7 million people. Rivers State has 7.5. So there's a lot of similarity. There are some parallels. And when I say parallels, I mean there are similarities, but there are also differences between Rivers State of Nigeria and Norway. For one, Rivers is a state in a country. Norway is a full country in itself. So we must also have that context. But Norway is a very wealthy country. Its GDP in 2023 was $580 billion. So even though Rivers is at 28 billion, the transformation gap is very clear in front of us. The GDP per capita of Norway is $92,000, the average income when the GDP is divided among the citizens, $92,000 per capita, per citizen. Norway is the second country on the UNDP's Human Capital Index out of about 180 countries, while Nigeria is 162nd. But Norway is number 2. Norway has the world's largest sovereign wealth fund, which has $1.6 trillion in assets under management. And that sovereign wealth fund holds 1.5% of all the equity of the listed companies in the whole world. This is the Norway Government Pension Fund Global. It also has investments in real estate and fixed income. Norway invests most of its resource earnings and has successfully diversified its economy away from oil. Norway is wealthy, but it's not because it has oil. After all, Switzerland, Japan, South Korea, they're also very wealthy countries. They have no oil. Not one natural resource is found in these countries. They are some of the wealthiest countries in the world. I make this point because it is very important for us to understand in our country that natural resources are not what make any country wealthy. If it were so, many countries in Africa would be very wealthy. Instead, they are poor, conflict-ridden. The reason is because when you have natural resources, there are problems that develop. And if you're not careful, you'll have the resource curse rather than a boom. Everybody begins to, the politics of the country, the politics of the state becomes about who will control the natural resource. And so the country becomes what we call a gatekeeper state, because the natural resources are referred to as the gate, and those who can corner it become the gatekeepers. So this can distort the path to development of any country, and that is what Nigeria is going through today, and many other African countries. Africa has 75% of the world's strategic minerals, but only 1% of global manufacturing. So Rivers State, in its visioning, I believe, should keep these things in mind. The reason many African countries are poor, even though they have natural resources, is because they are poorly governed. This is the story of Nigeria today. 63 years after independence, Nigeria is still crawling. We haven't even stood up on our feet to start walking, let alone to start running. Compared to a small country like Norway with 5.7 million people, the difference is governance. We often make the mistake of gathering at summits like this, and we talk a lot about economic theory. Without good governance, without competent governance, no country, no state in a country can make it in terms of economic transformation. Governance is key. And so I am very, very encouraged to hear the governor's emphasis on governance beyond politics. Because The reason the reason Nigeria is broken today is because we have made politics our #1 job and we have forgotten governance. But if you run for election to any office, as president or as governor or as anything, the reason you are elected is to govern. The politics is simply the vehicle in a democracy to get to the authority with which you need to govern. But the purpose for which you were elected is to make life better for the average man and woman. And let's not forget that. But Nigerian politicians have as a general rule, there are exceptions, but Nigerian politicians have forgotten that the reason they're in politics is to develop human capital in this country. And so our politics has become all about the politicians. When it comes to economics and investment, public governance matters because it is the necessary foundation for wealth creation. Competent governance will assemble the team. Competent governance will make economic policies. Competent governance will create the right environment in which economic transformation and investment can take place. Governance, governance, governance. If you must be a politician, if you must, my advice to you is that the best politics is good governance. Good governance is the best politics because that's what delivers the purpose. And that is the benefit of a large mass of the citizens. There is an intent here to promote investment in Rivers State. And so it's necessary for me to say a few words about foreign investment and to warn that it is not a magic wand. It is not. If you think it is a magic wand, look at all the oil companies in the Niger Delta, which have been foreign investing for the past 60-something years. Look at the poverty in the creeks. Look at the environmental degradation. Foreign investment does not deliver the results if you do not know how to go about it. It calls for a certain strategy. I began by talking about strategy. Without it, you cannot be successful. So foreign investment helped China. It helped Singapore, and we hope it will help Rivers State. But it helped China and Singapore to develop, but it has not brought prosperity to Africa. Instead, it has in many cases deepened poverty, as I said, and environmental degradation. Even as a measure of confidence in a national economy, FDI, foreign direct investment, has declined precipitously in Nigeria over the past decade. This is because the competence to drive a foreign direct investment strategy is absent. Even more important, the foundation of good governance does not exist. Investors are not fools. Their money works to make a return on investment in stable and well-governed environments. They are not in business to fuel the dreams, the promises, or the egos of politicians in power. That is not why serious businessmen are in business. So if you are seeking to attract foreign investment, it is important to proceed from this foundation going forward so that you have more of a chance of attracting the kind of investment that will actually drive the transformation of your state or your country. And so I say to you, Your Excellency, and to all the distinguished ladies and gentlemen here, that foreign direct investment will help to drive development only when two location factors, quote unquote, location factors we call them, are present. The first location factor is skilled human capital. That's factor number one. The second location factor is infrastructure. And in that context, I want to congratulate Governor Fubara on the kickoff of the construction of the Trans-Kalabari Highway. These two things are necessary. Skilled human capital, because the kind of foreign investment you need is not just people to come and extract natural resources. You need the skilled labor that can help to add value to whatever is extracted or whatever is farmed and produced. There must be value addition. And value addition across a wide range of industries, which is what diversifies an economy away from natural resources, requires skilled labor, requires skilled human capital. So perhaps, along with infrastructure, the first part of the investment strategy should be to bring investors that can create those skills in Rivers State. Across the board, maritime, fish farming, there can be massive fish farms on the sea and on water. But it takes a certain type of skill. And these are advantages that rivers have. If you go to Rwanda today, you will weep for Nigeria. Everybody is going to Rwanda. 30 years ago, I was a political affairs officer for Rwanda at the United Nations headquarters in New York, working with Kofi Annan during the genocide. We fought to stop the genocide. Late night meetings in the Security Council. Rwanda was known for horror, death. 1 million people killed in 3 months. Today, you go to Rwanda, you're scratching your head. Everybody is going there. All the investors are going there. Qatar Airways has just invested $1.2 billion, taking a 60% stake in a national airport that is being built in Rwanda. When that airport is completed in 2018, it will change the entire aviation map of East and Southern Africa. Futuristic thinking. Total Energy was supposed to give Nigeria $6 billion in investment. That investment, from reports I have read, has gone to Angola. Has gone to Angola. So, I would recommend a massive shift to investments in skilled human capital, especially to support manufacturing and service economies and diversify away from oil and more towards gas as a transition out of the natural resource conundrum. But natural gas is a must, because when we talk about transition, it's cleaner than oil and it is necessary for our situation at this time. We're talking about compressed natural gas for use, which is much cheaper than petrol. So Rivers State has huge opportunities to be part of the value chain. One professor in America said that globalization is like a bullet train, but it cannot stop in your country if you don't have a train station. What is the train station? Value chains. You have to be able to add value to parts of complete products. You see a big Toyota car, you say it was manufactured in Japan. Now lie. There are about 15,000 parts in a Toyota vehicle, and most of it is manufactured in places that are not Japan. It is put together, finally, in Japan. But every part of that value chain has made money. This is where our country, Rivers State, should aspire to be part of that global value chain that creates wealth through international trade. And I can see that the determination to do that is there. Now, the governor, you know, the truth of the matter, as I was saying, is that the investment environment in Nigeria is fundamentally and extremely weak. We hope that Rivers State will be an exception. But the truth is that our oil industry serves the interests of vested interests. It lacks transparency, starting with NNPC. This is one of the reasons why oil majors are divesting, because the challenge of investing in the sector in Nigeria, which is a classic gatekeeper state, is too high for many investors. And there are other opportunities waiting for them. So foreign investment is not about traveling all over the world and saying, I'm looking for foreign investors. If, as Governor Fubara has set out his vision to do, you create the necessary condition, the investors will come looking for you. You don't even have to look for them. They will look for you because capital has only one goal, and that is to make a profit. So wherever it sees the potential for that profit, it will go there. So all you have to do is simply to create the environment through the necessary policies, competence governance, the bright business environment, capital will come. When you have a strategy, you can say that our goal in Rivers State is to expand the manufacturing sector. Our goal is to build the skilled human capital that will drive that. Our goal is to expand natural gas. So you can actually direct the flow of foreign investment to serve the strategic purpose that has been set out in the strategy that Rivers State has developed. Not just welcoming everybody who says they're coming to invest. You know what you want, and you are directing that process, and you will get what you want. So, this is why the Africa Private Sector Summit, which I happen to be, or have the honor to be the chair of the board of directors and the advisory board. It's a continental organization of the private sector that is driving one agenda, and that is what we call a charter on the private sector Bill of Rights, with 24 rights for businesses, that if any government creates those rights for businesses, there is no way that wealth transformation will not occur. So we are hoping that at the next summit of the African Union in February, African leaders will adopt this charter on the private sector Bill of Rights. So we must stop paying lip service to an enabling environment for business and get on with actually dismantling all barriers to doing business. This cannot happen without competent governance. And I was so pleased to hear the governor say about the removal of multiple taxations. Very, very critical. One of the biggest obstacles, people being taxed left, right, and center. Finally, let me say a word on sustainability and host communities of the oil industry. We're in Rivers State. So what we have to do is to be like Norway, like Singapore, or like the Gulf states, to use what we have to get to where we need to be. Because one day, those natural resources will dry up. They're not here forever. But we can make use of them to achieve what we call in economics, economic complexity. The manufacture of complex products competitively with skill and value added to them. So, sustainability and host communities of the oil industry. Let me say that so long as the oil industry works for special interests and not for the masses, and the environment in our host communities are continually destroyed, so long will we be afflicted with the resource curse, and Nigeria cannot enter the Norway trajectory. The NNPC needs to be privatized. The NNPC needs to be privatized, with a stake sold to host communities. The host communities must be one of the owners. It should not be privatized to just people who have money. But the stake that will be sold to the host communities, how will it be managed? That is where governance comes in. We have to set up the structures, transparencies, to make sure that their interests are protected. Stringent, transparent governance will protect the people of the Niger Delta and enable them to become part of what God has given them, to be part of a path to wealth and not a curse, as has been the case for far too long. I wish Rivers State success in the years ahead. And I believe that with determination, with effective governance, with strategy, with competent governance, Rivers State can get on the path to Norway. We must think big. We must think large. And if any state in Nigeria has the potential to achieve this kind of big dream, it is Rivers, without question. Thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words. Thank you, Your Excellency, and I wish you success. Thank you.
And so that is the keynote address being delivered there by the man who has been saddled with the responsibility. Mogalo is well known as former deputy CBN governor and an economist in his own right, has been able to postulate a lot of economic principles to be able to direct